Now, let me tell you what's going on quickly about my front, and then we will wrap things up. So the surgery was Thursday. It was an on-time surgery. I think I got in about 15 minutes behind when they were supposed to be there, which was a great head start over what it was last time I had surgery, which was a 6-hour rain delay. So got in there. They said, get yourself centered in the table, get nice and comfy. Everything's great. I'm all set. And the doc and the anesthesiologist weren't even in the room yet. This was just all the techs getting everything lined up, and they put the little seatbelt around my legs to make sure I didn't fall over. I said, well, this is different. They said, what do you mean? I said, well, last time you had me getting centered on the table, and once I got centered on the table, the anesthesiologist just snuck up on me like a little weasel, hit me with the joy juice, and I was gone before I even knew what happened. They started laughing. I said, was that a problem? I said, yeah. I said, I might have had something profound to say. And they just started, now they're really laughing at me. And they said, well, okay, the floor is yours. Say something profound. I said, I didn't practice. I didn't know. I thought I was going to get snuck up on again. So then they put the oxygen mask over me to kind of do whatever that is. Not the gas, just the oxygen. And then the anesthesiologist comes in the room and says, okay, I guess we're about ready to go. You ready to take a nap? I said, well, at least you're warding me. That's nice. And she said, do you have any final words to say? I said, yeah, don't vote for Hillary. That was it. Gone. That was as profound as I could get. I didn't know how much time I had because I could start to feel it hit my vein. So it's like I had to keep it short and simple. I don't care who you people are. I know we're up in L.A. somewhere. You're probably all Democrats. Just don't vote for Hillary, please. And then I'm out. I wake up. And I come out of it really cleanly. Everything's fine. I'm hungry. I'm not nauseous. We're back on the road and home within about 2 or 3 hours after that. Get home. I'm fairly comfortable that night. And then the swelling hits. So the swelling was something that I didn't anticipate. It was not warned to me by the doc about that could be a possibility. But let me walk you through how this was. So Friday, I basically was fat bastard from Austin Powers. The whole left side of my head, from behind my neck to here around my chin, even on the right side and down to the top of my chest, it just ballooned out. And I'm like, oh, this sucks. Because one, it's hard to sleep and get comfortable, so you can't get a decent night's sleep. Two, it starts to kind of squeeze your throat a little bit. So it's not that you can't breathe, but it's just more labored breathing because it's constricting a little bit. And three, when it swells like that, especially here, it compresses your voice box. And when it compresses your voice box, it doesn't just take your voice away. It kind of raises it up like here because it's squeezing it and it can't vibrate as much as it normally does. So I was on helium for a day and a half. And that was not too cool. Now, I felt fine Friday night. Physically, I felt fine. I mean, the swelling was there, but I mean, I wasn't sick, nauseous, or I didn't have any other complications from the overall surgery. I just had the swelling stuff. We figured out what all that was. Went back up to Santa Monica and met the doctor and did our follow-up with him on Friday. He took a little syringe in to see if there was fluid that built up. It wasn't fluid. It was called edema, just tissue swelling. And here's why. What he did is he cut out about 50% of the tumor. He kind of went in and he kind of did a beveled, angled cut and took all the fresh tissue on the outside that's now off being gene sequenced, and phase 3 is now underway, and they're getting they're working through the treasure map now of how to kill what's left of it. There's enough nerves right at the jawline, and there's a jugular and a carotid artery and all sorts of stuff in the area. That's a no-go zone. Not safe, not going to do it, wouldn't be prudent. Don't need to, because if they get the gene sequencing right, develop the treatment, they inject the treatment, that's going to tell my immune system how to kill the rest of it, and it goes away on its own anyway. So they just needed the sequencing. So this was a glorified biopsy on steroids, is what this whole thing really was. They cut it out. the core of it, if it's like a big super ball, the core of it is actually dead tissue. And as the tumor grows, the live stuff's on the outside. It kind of seals off the inside. And as it grows, the inside gets deader and deader, and the live stuff keeps expanding. That's kind of how tumor cells grow. So they sucked out all the inside guts when they lateral and slashed this thing off. There was a general bleeding where they made the cut, so they have to cauterize all the little bleeders. That's just surgical stuff. The cauterizing actually kills cancer as it's burning cells off and burning capillaries and all that stuff to stop the bleeding. So that killed some of the remaining stuff there. But then he did the other thing, which he didn't tell me about, which is he took a tank of, probably not a tank, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but he took hydrogen peroxide and just bathe the whole area, just soak the whole rest of it in that area with hydrogen peroxide. Now, why that? And then sewed me back up. So why hydrogen peroxide? Well, because hydrogen peroxide kills cancer cells. Cancer does not like peroxide. It's super oxygenated, it's toxic to cancer, and it percolates and bubbles, and just it gives cancer a real bad hair day. It won't kill it entirely. It won't do it all forever. But it's a good way to, as long as you're in there and as long as you're chopping stuff out and you want to make sure it doesn't just flare right back up, you give it a good swift kick in the clusters, you use peroxide. That's what he did. What the peroxide does is it can cause a inflammation reaction. And actually, that's kind of a good thing. In a weird way. No, you don't want your voice constricted. You don't want your throat constricted. It can get out of hand, obviously. But what the reaction was, what the inflammation is it triggers your body's immune system, meaning your body sees the peroxide in the area and says, what fresh hell is this? That doesn't belong there. And so it sends the Marines, it sends the cavalry, all your T cells, all your white blood cells. It floods the zone because it at least recognizes that the peroxide doesn't belong there, and it's there to start eating and cleaning up the debris that doesn't belong there. So the garbage crew came in to clean up the mess. Cancer, the reason cancer is because it's able to defeat your body's immune system and camouflage, cloak itself so that your immune system doesn't recognize it's a problem, and so that's why your immune system doesn't kill it right away, and so it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But now that it's sitting there coated in peroxide, your immune system floods the zone to eat the peroxide. It doesn't care what the peroxide is attached to or has in the middle of it. It just starts eating away at the peroxide to remove it, and so it'll start eating away at the cancer because the cancer's wet from the peroxide. So it's not a long-term thing, just short-term. It's another little arrow in the quiver that's a cheap thing to do that he did. I just wish he would have told me, but that's kind of what that was. The swelling is much reduced than it was. It's actually kind of about where it was before surgery, except instead of it being lumpy or going straight out and around like it was bulging before, that bulge has been chopped off, and so it's kind of flattened out a little bit, and it's kind of still just up underneath my chin and or under my jawline. And this will keep flattening out a little bit. And in the meantime, over the next week and a half, the lab is now going to work on the treasure map and coming up with the phase 3 plan. And we'll get that ball rolling in early March, and then we'll see where we go from there. So that's kind of where that's at. Physically, I feel fine. I wanted to punch my father in the mouth. I should say that advisedly because he could be in here, but he's not. Friday night, we're at dinner. Then we're seriously wrapping up after this. Friday night, I'm at dinner. My dad thought I was nuts because I texted him saying I wanted to go to dinner. He says, are you out of your mind? Because everybody thinks this is like the most major surgery there is. And I consider a major surgery quintuple bypass. That's a major surgery. I mean, this was serious. It could have been worse. If he went to areas that he could have nicked all sorts of things, and it could have been serious. It didn't. He stayed within his contained world. He cut out the safe stuff, got plenty of material to work with, got in and out, and we're done. Had one complication, but it's handled. So I go to dinner. I had my appetite, wanted to go eat meat. So we did our thing, went to Don Jose. And as we're sitting at the table, my dad fishes out his camera on his phone. And he kind of does this. And as we're talking, he just kind of sneaks up like this and does. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, nothing. And he goes down and he starts doing this. What are you doing? What is this, proof of life? And he wouldn't react. A couple of days later, he finally admitted he had to text a picture of me with an elephant man face to show the tribbles somewhere that I was actually still alive and reasonably well. And it's like, dude, why? Did we really need to do that? He just kind of smirked. Anyway, so I'm fine. Things are great. We're moving along. The track is going fine. What phase 3 will offer, I have no idea. I mean, they assume that they're going to find something in this 20 million lines of DNA code that's going to be able to turn off whatever the cloaking device is for the cancer. They can turn off the cloaking device, and all of a sudden it now becomes exposed and develops an immune system. My immune system is plenty strong enough to take it out. If it sees it's really there, it'll go eat up the rest of it. It'll wither away, shrink up, go away, go do something with itself. Arteries, veins, everything else that got moved and squished, and all the other nerve endings, they all just kind of go back to where they belong and regenerate, and everything's copacetic. That's the plan. But we've got to get to phase 3. Phase 1's done. Phase 2 is basically done now. Now we move on to phase 3. I will keep you posted as I can.